Okay, we are live. We already got 9 people here. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you guys here. We're going to wait a few minutes while everyone is coming in. But this is going to be a great time just talking with Megan all about tariffs and strategies and just where everyone's at, a few features you can implement, and then we're going to have some time for just live Q&A at the end. And just discussion because we're all in this together. So we want to be able to learn from each other, share ideas. Um, but I'll let Megan do all the talking. We are about to do some fun engagement. So if you want to get your phones ready just for some poll interactions, we will get going. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. We got some 10 people here so far. Um, we'll give it another minute or so, and then we will dive right in. And also, too, feel free to drop your questions in the chat of things you want to discuss, and we can bring it up at the end of the workshop when we're in our live discussion mode and go from there. Awesome. Okay. Well, I know everyone's time is precious and we got a lot to cover, so we will dive right in. So if you can get your phones out and scan the QR code on the screen or go to slido.com and type in this code, then you can go on your phone and you can actually answer this question and we'll start seeing everyone's responses engage on or show up on the slide.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. We are excited. And as we're waiting for the rest, as Colleen said, we just have three quick questions. And we do this often at RepSpark where when we have an HQ meeting or something, we will ask the group certain questions, how they're feeling about things, what they're excited about, sometimes what their favorite food is. And it just is really nice to kind of get a feel of where people are, what they're feeling. So thank you for the two who've done it. Any words? So, again, you can do this on your phone. You can do this by going on to the browser, go to is it Slido? Slido.
Slido.
And just put that number in, and we can see people start to, put their how they're feeling. So this one is, how did you feel about tariffs 45 days ago? And if the same people put the same word in, it'll just kind of start getting bigger, like you're seeing the green one right now. So we'll wait a couple more minutes. And I kind of want a mindset of like where we were 45 days ago and, where we might be feeling now. So again, there's only three questions. We'll wait for a couple more seconds here to just kind of see what people were feeling 45 days ago. A couple more typing here as they're coming in. All right. Well, it seems we got one more. We'll wait for one more. Seems like, yeah, we had 45 days ago, which was, immediately after the big announcement with the large tariffs, Liberation Day. Everyone was stressed, worried, scared, difficult environment, and nervous. So, again, nothing's shocking there, but just wanted to make sure that no one was feeling like a superstar at that moment, because then I would definitely ask you to share. And then Colleen, let's go to the next one. So, I also wanted to just kind of get a feeling from the group. There's we've been through things like this before. RepSpark's been around for 17 years, and there's been some big pushes just in the economy or in the industry. What moment in the last few years had the most impact on your business? And again, I know that we're kind of part way through the Liberation Day tariff change moment. And we may look back, and if we ask this, I don't know, 6 months from now, maybe we'll have different types of answers and maybe we'll do that. But just really wanted to see, is Is it COVID? Was it Liberation Day? These tariff changes? And I know we're in the middle of it right now, so it's COVID. We're looking back. This one we're kind of in the middle, hopefully towards the middle slash end. And then we heard that sustainability, that became a really big push probably about 10-15 years ago. But I know that was that had a large impact on people's businesses as well, as and a lot of these were positive too, but it had an impact on where people were um, manufacturing, how people were manufacturing, how people were marketing, or how brands were marketing their product. And then, if there's something else that we just didn't think about, that'd be great to know too. So wait a couple more minutes here to see if we have any change, but it looks like we're about 50-50 here.
Awesome. We'll go on to the next question.
And the next one, how do you feel today? Like how are we feeling? Um, in talking to the different brands that I've been talking to that are customers, people are making changes, they're pivoting. Some have pivoted easily, some have put a lot of work into that. I think that people maybe are feeling different. Maybe some people are feeling not positive, but a little more stable, and some people are still dealing with a lot. So this question is, in one word, how do you feel about the tariffs today, as we sit here?
I see some people engaging, which is great.
Yeah. And as we're waiting on this one, it's interesting that we had a 50-50 on tariffs and COVID, because we keep kind of, thinking here at RepSpark, what had the bigger impact, and how can we have impact on our brands and be creative and help to, innovate to help situations like this. And I think there were some really big differences with tariffs versus COVID. Tariffs are more about uncertainty, long term cost pressure. It's more about a structural impact. So, rising baseline of the cost of materials and finished goods. This could be permanent, could not, could be permanent at some level. So, again, it's really going back to uncertainty and long term cost pressure. Obviously, we see that a lot of brands are having a margin squeeze where they must choose between raising prices, reducing quality, shrinking margins, especially now as people seem to be in the middle of a pivot of supply chains. So this has an element of near term and long term effects, and this is really about being strategic. And doing strategic sourcing shifts that may change for a long time. And then there's some complex compliance with tariffs, so that's a little bit different. Where COVID-19 seemed to be more of like a disruption and in like a demand shock. So it was just different. There was sudden supply chain halts, factory shutdowns, port closures, raw material shortages. Similar, but it was more disruption and shock, versus right now it could be long-term changes, strategy changes, rules, regulations, and the uncertainty. COVID-19, we saw complete shutdowns. So offices, stores, trade shows, wholesale, like it was just shut down. Demand volatility. We saw that some segments like athleisure and loungewear and people be more casual. I don't know if you guys remember the people who showed, they were in their boxer shorts with a tie and a shirt on. So it's just different. Well, some segments boomed and others plummeted. That definitely had a digital acceleration. So it really pushed brands to rapidly adapt to e-commerce. So we saw that as well, and direct to consumer models. And then there was just like temporary chaos. So unlike tariffs, COVID-19 disruptions were kind of high unpacked, but and changed things for sure. But it was a little bit different. So it's interesting to see kind of, we're still feeling challenged right now. We're feeling a little bit unsure, a little bit uncertain. And I think, what we've seen and heard is that uncertainty is actually what is making people feel more disruptive than actually a lot of what's coming out tariff wise. People don't know kind of where to pivot to, what they're dealing with. Are the tariffs going to stay? Are they going to go away? Is it going to be all offshore manufacturing? Is it going to be some countries? And that is what we're hearing across the board. So thank you for participating in our Slido, and we'll continue going on. So we can go to the next one, Colleen. So we did a tariff report, and it was really interesting to see what people were saying. We pulled a bunch of retailers and a ton of brands. And it was whether they were brands on RepSpark or just brands that were answering the poll. And it was, not shocking that 76% of retailers are feeling some reported tariff reported strain, and 85% of brands. But it was really interesting to see also what these retailers and brands would be most helpful. So on the retailer side, most helpful for them, and I think this is important for all of you brands to know, they just want updates. They want communication, and 72, which was the highest, 72 answered that they wanted updates from brands. They want peer insights, and they want flexible terms. So again, I think the commute or the topics or high level topics for the retailers were flexibility, flexible terms, minimums, tips on how to increase margin, really just flexibility, more information and visibility. So the more information and visibility that brands can give their retailers, that's what they're needing right now. They said things like a list of American made products, a way to understand what's country of origin on web pages, information. So the more information that they can get, what's available now, what's coming in, if shipments are going to be delayed, just being really good on giving those retailers their visibility. Communication, that was the next biggest thing. Communication, retailers want to know exactly what lines are being affected. They are wondering, am I going to get all the product I pre-booked? Is the product going to be the same price? Are shipments going to be delayed? Are lines being trimmed down a little bit? So really, partnering with those retailers through communication. That's really what they want. And then there was also a portion that wanted education and community. So I want to hear how other businesses are doing, what efforts are making a difference. I want to learn about the best practice for open to buy dollar planning in this type of scenario. I want to be educated by my brands and sales reps on what product may have the best margins for me. So that's what they're asking for. The retailers, again, are asking for flexibility. They're asking for more information, more visibility, as much as they can get, even on their own terms. They're asking for communication, and then education and community. They want to know. They don't want to be kind of left in the dust. And then this, I'm sure, will be very familiar to all of you on the call, but really a lot of the brands are looking at a couple different levels of headaches too. So sourcing and supply chain, not a surprise here. Sourcing different fabric mills in places with better tariff conditions. Challenges with import and how those will affect our supply chains. What type of cost increase are we going to get? And how quickly can we pivot to different regions and countries? Communication. So that was actually the second biggest headache or challenge that brands felt they were facing. Communications. So that was in the form of managing communications and messaging to our customers, managing communications and messaging to our sales teams, and really trying to communicate the feeling of retailers to the sales reps. One brand said retailers aren't placing POs because they're scared. And how do you really educate the reps to have these conversations with the retailers? The third headache was planning. Just again, not a surprise, I'm sure, being able to plan 6 to 12 months out. Everything's changing daily. How do I make a plan if I don't know what I'm up against? The fourth one was, again, education and community. So it's interesting to see the pattern between the sales reps and the brands and the retailers. and what they're struggling with and what they really are hoping each other are feeling with the situation. So one brand said, we're trying not to be reactionary because this could all blow over. We're trying to stay up to date on what other brands are doing. We want to be competitive. We want to be honest with our customers. And we're really trying to educate our reps to then educate the retailers. So those were, while they're feeling the strain, these are how some of the retailers are commenting what they're looking for and how some of the brands are reacting as well. Dak, who is the CEO of L Space, I was talking to him the other day, and I thought it was a really poignant conversation or comment that he made, and he said, even with COVID and now and the other things that I've been in business with, everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And his view was, hopefully we're at the beginning of the end where that the inconsistency or the uncertainty will which is driving a lot of, I think, where people are unsure, they're unsure of how to move forward. And hopefully, as Dak is saying or predicting, and we all do, we're at the beginning of the end. On to the next, Colleen. So I again have talked to tons of different brands, and I've heard tons of strategies that people have to overcome tariffs. And these are the 7 that I'm hearing most often, and researching too. So the first one, a ton of our brands are planning on slimming down the product line to proven winners. So, potentially eliminating those riskier designs, riskier color stories, riskier silhouettes, and just really slimming down the product line to proven winners right now. The second most reported or discussed way that brands we've heard are overcoming tariffs is trimming down the ecom budget, really looking at where add-ons have been, looking at websites, looking at the e-commerce strategy, e-commerce marketing, and trimming that down. We've heard from a couple different brands that over the last couple years that e-com budget has kind of just, slippery slope grown and grown. And it's more the e-com marketing and, just really taking a hard look at that line by line and trimming that down if possible. We're hearing brands reevaluating the return policies. So maybe if you offered free returns before, or you offered, a flat rate return before, and this would be on your e-com purchases, reevaluating those return policies and really figuring out how that may be eating into your margin. Some of our brands are reconsidering their buy now, pay later services. So things like Afterpay, looking at that and really trying to understand, is that a value? Is that really a value add to the customer? Is the end consumer not going to buy something because you don't offer that anymore? Because again, everything that is eating into the margin like that, most of our brands are really taking a hard look at those types of services. So again, e-commerce budget would just be more of marketing dollars spent, where return policies and the buy now, pay later are really focusing on the direct margin hit. We've heard some brands are pausing. I haven't really heard of a lot canceling. It's more like pausing non-essential projects. And we've had a couple brands say that they were planning to do some new store rollouts, and they're maybe pausing some of that right now. A lot of brands are promoting their ATS inventory. So making sure that they are marketing to their retailers what they have in stock now, building assortments of what they have in stock now, top sellers, trending products, geographical trending products, and really promoting the at-once inventory. And a lot of our brands that we are talking to are looking at automation and technology to improve their margins. So really taking a look at different cost centers and where's their duplication, where can things be automated, taking that moment to really dig into operations and seeing again where that duplication and automation can happen. I'm going to walk through now, just, in hearing all of that, we took a hard look at RepSpark and said, where could we help impact with what we have today, impact some of these items that brands are focusing on and what they're looking at, and how can we teach our brands and educate them on how to use RepSpark maybe a little bit differently than they've thought about it before to tackle some of these tariffs and what we're seeing. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. I'm not going to take the time today to dig in on the how to. We do have a blog and we have a tariff report, and there is a how to on all of these, but I just want to talk through some of them. So there is a dynamic pricing feature in RepSpark, and with 78% of retailers citing price increases as a really big concern, this is a way that you could have that flexibility. The pricing lets you set flexible prices based on order date, order type, channel, things like that. And looking at if you pre-sold a pre-book item to a different retailer, maybe there's a possibility to set that at a different price point for other retailers, or as you move into from pre-book time into at once. Again, I'm not going to go through the how to. There's tons of documentation on that. But another one is really using the smart catalog and the assortments. So if you don't know how to do that, again, please reach out. We're more than happy to do a training session for you and your team. But really using that smart catalog to allow you to create lean, targeted digital catalogs and assortments. We have seen brands use this so well, where they are creating kind of their made in America assortment. They're creating an assortment for the perfect buy right now. They're creating different catalogs, hiding prices, things like that. So the flexibility of that catalog, or as they're dropping products from their lines, making sure that those catalogs are really staying up to date with the most forward-looking product information. And if you don't know how to do it, again, I would really recommend setting up a time with your account manager. You can literally make one catalog, copy it, change the pricing to different currency, copy the catalog and take out certain product categories, build catalogs just for like accessories or things like that. Really, I would reach out to the account manager. There's a ton that you can do with those catalogs and assortments. The other one is really focusing on that at once inventory, helping encourage the retailers to buy out of that at once inventory right now, and just really giving the retailers the visibility to buy this stuff. Giving them if you don't know, on RepSpark, you can use a filter that says what's trending now, what's trending for that brand. And you can actually, you can have your sales team use those filters and sorts to help really drive that at once reordering or at once buying for trending products or products very similar to what that customer maybe purchased before. The other one is microsite selling. So I don't know if you guys think about microsites this way, but it really allows you to market directly with a retail partner, whether that's a gym or a golf shop or something like that. It really allows you to market directly to your ICP. So you're really looking at the person that you want to buy your product is probably at those places where you're selling your product, and allowing that retail partner to sell that product, whether or not they have it in inventory. Doing pop-up shops, holiday pop-up shops. It's summer now. A lot of people are at clubs, at tennis clubs, at swimming pools, at things like that, and really being able to reach out to those your customers in a unique selling way. Really through these curated shopping events where the retailer doesn't have the risk of holding that inventory. Again, a totally different way of using microsites that we've seen really successful. If you're interested in it, reach out to your account manager and we can really walk through how to do that as well. Another one is, again, really retailer focused campaigns to encourage reorders. In RepSpark, you can take a previous order and you can build an assortment from it and send that directly to a retailer or multiple retailers. It's a really great way, again, to encourage reorders. And it's a great way to reach out to that retailer. Maybe something that they did buy before you're not stocking again, or it's out of stock. But having your sales rep really educate those buyers on what is in stock that may be similar to what they purchased before, sending out those campaigns for reorders. Um, And then I know I've talked a lot about the assortments, but there are really cool features in there that I want to make sure you guys know of too. So 44% of retailers are frustrated again by uncertainty. And so region specific strategies are going to be really key. You can create those different assortments really easy if you don't want to actually create a catalog. Again, these could be made in America products. These could be products that you're pitching for one of these microsites events. And it could be reaching out to new stores, trying to open up new store locations, and maybe you don't want to share the price. So you can build these assortments to have buyers order directly from them, and hide all the pricing in there. So it's a really great way also to be using those assortments. And then we heard this so many times throughout the entire survey and throughout the entire everybody that we've been talking to, whether it's brands or retailers, they really are struggling with communication. And that is what everybody wants right now. So the sales reps are really wanting communication as well as the buyers. And I would encourage you to use that branded landing page potentially in a different way than you've thought about it before. So if you haven't set one up, the branded landing page is when a sales rep or a buyer or an admin logs into RepSpark and logs into your page. You actually have complete control over the blocks that you're putting there and the communication as well. It's pretty cool. If you didn't know, you could actually do this by role. So sales reps can be seeing something totally different from your buyers, that can be seeing something totally different from your sales manager, your admins. And this is a really great place to send that communication. If there are certain styles that are going to be late, if there's certain styles that are being held up, um, whether you want to communicate that directly with the buyer or through the sales team, as they're coming in every single day, it's a great place to post that level of communication. It is also a great way to drive buying habits. So if you want to build one of those catalogs or assortments for your buyers, maybe it's your higher margin product that you want front and center. You can actually build these on the branded landing page. You can build out these blocks, these marketing blocks, and send those buyers directly into those assortments. And again, maybe it's your highest margin product right now that you want to really be focusing on for your buyers to go directly into. It's a great place also, again, to see the tariff impacted lines, made in America assortments. And it's a really great way also for, we see a lot of brands use this to communicate with their sales teams information, but also show them maybe what social's doing, what is trending in the market, doing things like that. So we see a lot of our brands using this branded landing page, not only for kind of directed selling, but also communication. Um, and then really putting as much information as you can. Buyers, again, are asking for education, they're asking for communication, and they're asking for visibility. You, through RepSpark, you can give them a lot of this. I'm not sure if you can see it on that little shoe, but the highlighted red box there is actually a country of origin. And it's a really great place for you to have more information for the buyers directly at their fingertips. Maybe there's something that you want to put there to explain pricing. Maybe there's something that, again, you want to explain a price increase. You want to explain why pricing is what it is. A lot of our more tactical brands need to put their country of origin, so that field's always been there. But it really is a great way also on the product level to communicate not just what the product looks like and feels like and what it's made of, but it's a really great place to give buyers other information right here in the product details. So this is the RepSpark product attributes. And when you build out these product attributes, it then can be used throughout these sites. So on the P2Ps and the catalogs and the microsites, all this product information now lives for you to decide to show or hide. It's really easy to turn off and on as well. So in a catalog, you might have tons of all this information, and maybe you don't want it in the catalog. You can kind of hide different things. And then, if it's no longer necessary, then you can wipe that data from the feed. But it makes it really flexible, especially during times when, again, those buyers are really craving communication and visibility. And so the easier and more places you can give them that, the more comfortable that they're going to feel buying from you. So again, education. And I'm just going to spend a second on this slide. And then I do want to turn it over and make it more of a community discussion if hopefully everybody feels comfortable with that. But you know, brands, you guys have been through a lot. You have, tackled different big times in the industry. And brands are going to bounce back from tariffs. But not without some adaptation, just like we saw in COVID here. Brands will recover, but it's not, it's different. It's not about like waiting it out like in COVID. It really requires some strategic shifts. It requires movement. It requires not, freezing up. We like to say there's power in the pause, but once you kind of get that information, you make some of these pivots, you learn a bit more. You learn a bit more about your supply chain. Reaction and smart strategy are really going to be key here. Again, this is going to be about supply chain diversification, moving production away from heavily tariffed regions, and really diversifying the supply chain, anyways. And then being able to communicate that easily to the buyers as well. Really looking towards smarter sourcing and tech investment. We've seen that more brands are investing in tools to optimize landed costs, tariffs, logistics, and just operational base level, making it really easy for brands and buyers to connect, and really easy for this type of information to be shared. And just looking at maybe a stronger price discipline. So many brands are rethinking assortments, pricing structures, things like that to protect their profit margins and still stay competitive. What would be horrible is if everybody trimmed down their lines so much that there wasn't the creativity that we love to see within apparel and footwear. And I do want to kind of attack the elephant in the room here. The most disruptive aspect right now is I think there's two things. There's just unpredictability and the complexity here. The most disruptive thing today isn't the tariffs themselves, although they are extremely disruptive, but it's really the uncertainty about, are they going to stay? Are they going to move? What's happening? So really almost leaning into that uncertainty and trying to make a plan with your best known options. I've actually talked to different companies outside of the apparel and footwear sector, and a lot of them are actually making different plans that are dependent on different things. So leaning into the uncertainty, doing a best, medium, worst case scenario, looking at different sourcing, but really leaning into the uncertainty and trying to plan the best as possible. And then this is just complex. There's an administrative burden. There's a lot of tax repercussions. There's tariffs. There's sourcing. There's again that information that certain buyers might need about the product and what's happening. So, in our view, resilience will depend on agility. The brands that pivot the fastest, logistically, financially, operationally, are going to come out stronger. We saw the same thing in COVID. Those brands that were creative and innovative. That's where a lot of these microsite ideas came from, where brands during COVID got really creative on how to sell differently than they had before. But we see that brands are finding new ways to be competitive, protect their margins, and grow their technology to provide insights, visibility, and operational efficiency. And I'd love to leave it at that. Retailers are responding. They're responding with agility to shifting costs. They are looking at their own buyer behavior. But there's a lot to be said, and there's a lot to do. And I think that looking at different plans and putting those in place, and then really dialing into that operational efficiency to improve margins in the other direction are really great ways that we see people combating the tariffs. Um, so I would love to open this up. When we did this survey, one of the number one things from both brands and retailers that they wanted was that they wanted and a thankfulness, mindfulness was an appreciation for the community and the communication that RepSpark has been trying to build and facilitate here with certain things like this, whether it be COVID, pricing, tariffs, whatever it might be. So I'd love to, open it up, see if people have questions for each other. If people just different have, you know, again, comments for each other, comments for RepSpark, and I'd love to really try to open it up and see if we can help answer any questions. Ours will probably be more platform related or what we've heard from brands, but maybe brands have some good ideas. There's a lot of you on here. Some are really large established brands, and then we have a bunch of brands that are up and coming, newer brands to the market and the industry. And I'm sure everybody would love some advice. So let's see. Go ahead, Colleen.
Yep, we got one from Jordan. And she's asking for the smaller brands, how can we serve retailers and keep them loyal while financially struggling more than the larger brands?
That is a great question, Jordan. Smaller brands, if you guys are on here, or larger brands, like, is there anything that you can share? And again, you can type it in the Slack, or can we unmute someone, Colleen?
We cannot, unfortunately. You have to engage via the comment section.
Okay, so if you have an idea, smaller brands, how can we serve the retailers and keep them loyal while financially struggling more than some of the larger brands? Does anybody have ideas here that they might want to share? What we've seen, Jordan, just on the RepSpark side is just really being able, I know I'm saying communicate 1,000 times, but be there, be front and center, communicate, make things really easy for them. So for the smaller brands, just make it really easy for buyers to order from you. Make it really easy for buyers to find what they need, to have information. Really communicate with those buyers. Give them, clever assortments that might be new and different, and are created directly for them. So really lean into the customer service piece. Wrap your arms around those buyers that are already buying from you, and be creative about putting together new assortments and thoughts. Make them feel special. Let them know what's going on, and really lean into customer service and customer support.
Awesome. We'll wait to see if anyone else has questions.
Any other questions, guys, or anything? I know we went to that one of the first slides where we shared those 7 different strategies that we've heard across multiple different brands and multiple different segments. Are there any other ideas that y'all are doing, at your own brands, that or other strategies that you want to share as a group to the group here, to overcome the tariffs? Um, so one is, keep supporting your brand difference and your market position. So I love that, Dak. Yeah, make sure that you're always able to communicate how you are different, why you're different, what makes your brand different. Be front and center, and make sure that that marketing message is consistent throughout your wholesale and your direct to consumer. So what you're doing to your direct to consumer, make sure that your wholesale buyers and your wholesale platform, your catalogs, your marketing is all supporting that same market position and brand difference. It is interesting, but before, maybe even before COVID, it was really interesting how brands would look at their wholesale channel and marketing. And now with the buyers actually purchasing directly on websites as well, B2B, it's really important to make sure that that brand messaging is consistent throughout your direct to consumer and your wholesale platform. So, really support that brand difference and keep that marketing messaging consistent. Thanks, Nina. So Nina says we're encouraging retailers to take advantage of in-stock merchandise for future in basics, which we carry season over season. So that's great, Nina. And you can build out those types of assortments and catalogs that may, be unique that you never maybe would have built a catalog just for those basic products that you'll be carrying season over season. But we encourage you to build out a catalog, build out an assortment, make it really easy for those buyers to buy those products. So in the encouragement, again, if you build out an assortment and share that, it makes it really easy and you can share those assortments with notes in an email as well. And then on a top level, on a merchandising level, your brand can build those assortments and catalogs and share them with the reps. So it makes it really easy to do things like that. But yes, take advantage of the in-stock merchandise for future as well. Thanks, Nina. That's great advice.
It is. Okay, well, anybody else have questions? Oh, Nina has something. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So those basic assortments it's really great, guys. Those assortments are extremely powerful. Because you can change them, on a whim if you want to. You can add products to them. You could have basics. We see a lot of brands use those for basic color stories too. And then like perfect first buys or perfect seasonal buys. You can have as many assortments as you want. So it's really easy to make them, name them, and, go ahead and change them. We need the function to restrict future order date. Nina, we'll follow up with you on that. I'm not exactly sure, but I wish we could unmute her. We're not able to do that. We may have that, so we'll follow up with you, Nina, and just see if there's a way that we can show you how to restrict future order dates, either on the product level or on the order entry level, for sure. So let's look into that as well.
Great.
Anybody else have anything to share or questions? All right. Well, we got done a little early here. But thank you guys, everybody, so much. We'd love to understand how we can help with any of these strategies. If there's strategies that we aren't thinking of, we'd love to hear from you. If there's things that could help you right now, we'd love to hear that too. We always want to innovate on our product and, make sure that we have an impact on what you're doing. And again, so we'd love to hear any feedback. We will be sharing this presentation. We will also share the tariff report in case you didn't have that, as well as the blog that gives you a lot of how-tos on how to do some of these things in RepSpark. And that is not a discouragement to reach out to your account manager. If any of these things sounded interesting, and you just need more information or training, we are here for you and more than happy to help you with that as well. So thank you everyone, and have a wonderful Wednesday.